morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this planet. This is your host, Frostee Rucker, on the Take Back the West podcast, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to do this Trojan recap and talk about our now number 13 USC Trojans versus the UCLA Bruins in a hard-fought matchup in the Rose Bowl. Okay, let's dive into this. Our now number 13 Trojans, they were 15 before the game. They really played a scrappy, confident team at UCLA. Now, this rivalry game, the best of the best comes out of guys. I played in it 3 times. I know all about it. I get the feels every time it comes up. I get the feels every time it's on TV, replays and all that. That's what this game's all about. UCLA, for 3 quarters, whooped our butts. I was on the edge of my seat. A, because they were whooping our butt. B, because I bet betonline.ag, one of our sponsors. So I bet the spread and the cover. Nervous. We were down by 18 at one point, but our Trojans finished the game 43-38. I was nervous, though. I can't even front. I sit here. We're on the group chats. You know how we get down, all of us champions. I like to throw that out there. I don't have to show my rings, but y'all know what I'm all about. You know, we're texting the whole game, and I'm telling you, everyone was sweating bullets. I'm surprised no one broke their phones, because I know they didn't, because they kept responding. But I tell you, UCLA handed to us for 3 quarters of that game. They handed to us. Let's go by a score here. First quarter, we didn't score anything. UCLA 7. Okay. Second quarter, Trojans bounced back with 10 points. UCLA 14. You can't trade touchdowns with field goals, guys. We know that. Third quarter, 14-13. We start edging our way back. But this fourth quarter, when it was 20-3, we unleashed hell on them. I was so proud of our guys, the way they fought back, situational football. They did it all. Now, you can tell there's a lot of emotions that go into that game. You can tell how the guys, they were chirpy, almost getting into fights. You've seen the receivers. You know, we love our receivers. They were cocky as ever. I loved it. You know, that's what this is all about. But you could just tell the emotions were so high because, again, these are childhood friends going versus each other. This is backyard football on the mainstream. The whole country's watching. So, you know, there's a lot of pressure going into these big-time games. But that fourth quarter was something out of a movie. But to our defense, that's just kind of how this team rolls. You can't win the game in the first quarter, second quarter, or third quarter, but damn be sure the fourth quarter of these games is where our guys make their money. They step up, they get stops. It seems like everything's clicking. Their special team clicks, defense, short yardage, situational football. They're just at their best in the fourth quarter. They got that fight in the fight on in this team, and I really like it. And the guys were balling so much. 3 of our Trojans were nominated for some awards for the week. So we had Keaton Slovis, my man. You had a phenomenal game. We're not going to talk about the interceptions. We're going to talk about the great things you did. That's how we get down. You threw for 5 touchdowns in the air with that game-winning touchdown throw to Taylor. Another comeback for you, 18-point comeback. Great job, my man. Pac-12 player of the week, offensive player of the week. Then my man, Talanoa Hufanga, you balled, bro. Let me tell you about it. All the homies, all the guys that played before you, we're proud of you. You're going out there, you're like a missile. You play with the high energy. You're playing with speed and passion. You're playing that Trojan way, and we're very proud of you. 11 solo tackles, 6 assists, 17 total tackles. There's 1 forced fumble and a pick 6. Dude, that was good for the Walter Camp National Defensive Player of the Week. Now, you're eating. Keep that up. You got another week, big week. Do it again, buddy. And then, you know, we got Drake, Pac-12 Defensive Lineman of the Week. So great job to Drake. 5 tackles, 2.5 for loss, and with that huge 4th down stop that you had in the second half. And let me tell you, how do you guys not block Drake Jackson off the edge? There was a couple times in that game I seen him coming off the edge with a clean shot at the quarterback. He had his hands up, hesitated once or twice. I'd like to see him just run through someone and just, you know, completely decleat the quarterback. But they left him unblocked. So They did it again, and he comes up with one of the biggest tackles in the game in a momentum swing. Drake Jackson, you got to block that guy. But to say this, so my next guest is Ryan Dyrud. He's a co-host with myself on the LA Football podcast. We cover the Rams, Chargers, Trojans, and the Bruins. Bringing him in. He's very insightful. Enjoy. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
Ross, my man, what's going on? Happy to be with you.
Rob.
You like that?
I do. Look at that, guys. That's going to be my new icon. It look like me. All right, come back.
I think it looks identical to you.
Yeah, that is me. That's Frost. What's up, man?
Not much, dude. Just enjoying some time with family real quick. We're doing an early Christmas out in Colorado, so just enjoying that and watch some good football this weekend.
Awesome. That's good times, man. I like Colorado. Make sure you go to Silvermine Subs. Tell them Frosty sent you. No, don't tell them that. They probably won't give you anything. But
I've been there, though. They do have phenomenal subs, so you're not wrong.
Phenomenal, bro. They got ones
yeah.
like steamroll or something like that. It's like the meatball sub. Anyways, that's just the fact of me. Back to this. So we're doing a Trojan recap right here on Take Back the West. And how'd you feel about that game? I personally felt it was a great game. I thought UCLA was a lot better than we all give them credit for. They weren't afraid. They stood toe-to-toe with our Trojans that are number 13 in the country now. They start the game at number 15. How'd you see that game?
I mean, the game itself I loved. As someone that doesn't have direct affiliation to either, I went to Long Beach State, so now I cover both teams. I just wanted a good football game. I didn't give a score prediction on our show, the LA Football Podcast, but I did think the Trojans were going to be victorious. But I thought it was a great game, battled back and forth. Obviously, the Bruins jumped out to an early lead, and the Trojans came roaring back, 20-3 in the fourth quarter, which has basically been their MO the entire season. Right. Is just how dominant they are in that fourth quarter. But I thought both teams played great. Both quarterbacks had their mistakes, but had big plays when they needed them. The running game was going for both teams when they needed it. I thought coaching decisions were good. So it was just a great victory bell game and a good situation for the city of Los Angeles, for LA football.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, both quarterbacks had their good and their bad, with both of them throwing 2 interceptions. I thought it was a well-coached team. Both teams came in confident, ready to really duke it out, and they did. I got everything I needed from it. I was very excited. I think this is a game like that helps the city of LA with both our teams with recruiting. I'm a little nervous, to be completely honest and frank with you. I'm nervous that even if we win this game versus Oregon coming up, we'll get to this Oregon matchup another time. We're doing a recap now of UCLA. But even if we win that, I kind of want to leave it at that. I know we all have aspirations of them going to a playoffs or whatnot, whichever team got in, from Pac-12, mainly the USC, from my standpoint. We're all pumped about it. But the way things are going, how confident this ball club is, I don't want to see anything negative happen to just disservice our team. I think if we go and we get in this playoffs and we play versus a really good team and we get in our trail position thinking we can come back and we don't, I think it affects us negatively with recruits, and I'm not here for that.
Yeah, well, I think the college football rankings are extremely subjective, and the committee of 13 makes mistakes all the time, and their system seems to change all the time. But I think USC's ranking of 13 is actually pretty fair, pretty accurate for the teams in front of them. And meaning so, I don't know if they're a top 4 team, and if they go to play one of those top 3 teams, I don't think they're on that level yet, and they're building there. So to your point, I think you don't want to end the season negatively with, I'm not saying they get blown out, but if they're a 4 seed and have to play Alabama, if you lose that game big, that affects you negatively heading into the offseason, where if they beat Oregon and whether their season ends there or they play like a Rose Bowl game against a Wisconsin or some other Big Ten team and they win that game, then you go in the offseason 7-0, recruiting looks great, you're building for the future, and then next year, let's hit the college football playoff with a full offseason. Which I think would bode the team a lot better because you have a returning, Slovis, returning Drake London, returning Marquise Stepp, a lot of these guys on offense. Obviously, defense has a lot of returning guys. So I think that would bode better for the program. Of course, everyone wants to see him in a playoff. I just don't know if it's the right time right now.
Right, because if we go back to last year, I don't like going back this far, but we finished the season off with UCLA, handed them a big L. I mean, L's just –
oh, yeah.
I seen a GIF like that. It was really cool. I think it was Floyd.
Yeah.
He was doing money, but it was L's. So,
You were throwing shots at the 9-0. It was popping.
Right. It was a great time. I was there. It was a great time. And then we end up matching up versus Iowa, a team that we were like, oh, okay, we should be able to match up and get some points and get completely blown out of Qualcomm Stadium and end up hurting our whole offseason with all this, with Clay Helton, Jazz, this, that. We suck. We're not this. We're not that. And it hurt us, even though everyone was so pumped up after the UCLA game. That's what I don't want to happen again. I don't want to go through another offseason of controversy. I just want to build, taking back the West. So there's why I'm a little iffy on this playoffs. Obviously, the competitor in me, I want to see these guys match up and face anyone, anytime, any place. I love that. But for our program and what we're trying to accomplish here and trying to get back to that status of top 5 rankings and being number 1 for consecutive weeks and people being scared and afraid of us, that playoffs may be the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, well, like you said, keeping it real, the goal of this team is to be in contention every single year. They should be the top dog every year, the top recruiting class every year. But you have to be real, and they're not there right now. They're building to that, but they're not there right now. So you don't want to see anything to jeopardize that, which I agree with you. I think a playoff, as much as I'd love to see a USC Notre Dame matchup potentially, and I think they actually would match up well against Notre Dame, but Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, I don't like those as much.
Me either. We're just
not yet.
But it's coming, and that's why it's like I don't want to do anything negatively to impact that in the wrong manner, because I think these coaches and these players have done a phenomenal job, being undefeated up to this point, but dealing with the circumstances of what's going on with this COVID and, just dealing with it. It's been tough. It's been tough in everyone's life, but, them trying to play football and, teams can't field a team because of it. It's been so shaky. So, again, hats off to those guys for finishing the way they have. We're all supporting. We all want to see you do good. I know that's me really talking, and, Ryan doesn't really care because he went to Long Beach.
Oh, I care.
You care now?
Oh, I care. I always care. Long Beach State doesn't have football, so I spent my Saturdays going to UCLA or USC, going to games to tailgate and do that. So I always kind of liked both teams. If I'm being real, and I don't want it to sound like fair weather, but I can say because I didn't have a football team, I started leaning towards USC just because I wanted to see an LA team, a Pac-12 team competing for national championships. And let's be real, it has been a while since UCLA has been there, whereas USC has been growing quicker and they've been more recent. So I always kind of lean towards USC, and I think they're getting back to it. So I'm excited to see what the future holds. And I think they have like the 14th ranked recruiting class heading into next year right now. And they look to build upon that in the offseason, which if they finish undefeated with a big win against Oregon and potentially a Rose Bowl matchup, then, hey, I think they'll build even higher and jump into that top 10.
Yeah, and another thing people aren't noticing or even talking about with this recruiting, it's not just the kids coming out of high school. There's JUCOs out there, and there's going to be transfers. There's a lot of transfers, and if we return back to dominant like that and dominance, I think we're really onto something. So, Ryan, let me ask you this before we get out of here. Your take on Coach Helton for the season. Obviously, he's always on the hot seat. He's everyone's worst dream and nightmare, but Clay Helton's 5-0. And I'm not going to sit here and say I say that, but just when we're looking at blogs and listening to all the chatter, something that I blocked out my whole career, and now I'm sort of the blogs and the chatter. So it's really weird to
welcome to the dark side. Welcome to the dark side.
It's completely the dark side. But what's your take on Coach Helton and how he's done this year?
Well, I mean, he's 5-0, like you said. I think, unfortunately, for Clay Helton, he could win a national championship next year, and if the following year they lose one game, fans are still going to want him out. That's kind of just, unfortunately, the throne he's on, whether it's fair or not. I think when he was chosen over some of the other coaches, or Coach O, for instance, that's just kind of the fan base that happened. But I think he's done a great job, and this is a offseason with different circumstances. Obviously, you've talked about a lot on our show. He's let his coordinators coach, and he's kind of just played manager and been there to keep his guys focused. And the biggest thing about this team is they've played in big moments at the end of games and showed up when it mattered most. And to me, that obviously you give credit to the players, but to me that comes down to coaching. That these guys are focused, and maybe they don't get out to the starts you want to see. Maybe they have some lapses throughout the game, but when the moment means the most, they show up, they make big plays. Keaton Slovis looks great down the stretch. The defense locks teams down the stretch. So I
Yes.
think that to me is, Clay Helton showing that he is the coach for the job and he's building something. And with this recruiting class slowly jumping up, I think Mike Bohn made the right choice to keep him around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mantra of this team for the season is finish. They've done that time and time again. They've made a lot of people very happy, I know, including myself and a lot of the guys in my group chat. Shout out to the fellas in the scumbag group chat. That's just the name of it. That doesn't say anything about the people. They're great guys.
Or it does.
These
But
guys-
I think too what you have to mention, but that a lot of bloggers and stuff really don't, is what Clay Helton did to his coaching staff in the offseason. And we've already seen that improvement with, Todd Orlando, with the special teams. So that you got to give credit to Clay Helton for that, because he made a change when his back was against the wall, and we've seen improvement in those areas. So that too, and with no offseason, I mean, you implement a whole new defense and special teams with no offseason, it's hard to do. And the defense, I think, they gave up 38 points, but they play hard, they play fast. Hufanga is, I think, one of the best safeties in the game. They have a lot of good playmakers, and they've done good things with them. So I like what they've done with the coaching staff too.
Clay Helton, Pac-12 Coach of the Year.
I think he should be.
I'm saying it now.
How can he not be?
I
Yeah.
don't want anyone throwing tomatoes at me, because all I'm going to do is cut them up and put them in my salad. Clay Helton is Pac-12 Coach of the Year if they win this game and finish off versus Oregon. I said it. You can't.
No questions about it.
He's not the sexiest coach out there. He's not the one he's not Urban Meyer and all the things people are wishful thinking for. I know Christmas is coming up, and I know you got your Santa list in, but you got Clay Helton, and he's 5-0. And if he brings this home with 6-0 and there's a chance for anything extra, you better be damn proud of it.
Hey, sometimes the grass is not always greener. Sometimes just be happy with what you have, and you're 5-0.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ryan, thanks for stopping on, man. I appreciate you. Again, this is Take Back the West with Frostee Rucker, your host on the Believe Network. You can follow us at Take Back the West _ on Instagram. I'm The Organic Frost on Instagram. Ryan, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Dyrud on Instagram, or Ryan Dyrud LAFB on Twitter, or the main account LAFB Network, where you can find both Take Back the West and our LA Football Pod. So thanks, my man, for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And subscribe for Christmas. It'd be a great gift.